The African Renewable Energy Initiative launched its first of 3 events at the COP22 summit in the Moroccan city of Marrakech. This is a fairly bold collaborative effort by some of the least developed countries in the world to move towards a renewable energy future. They presented the long-term objectives which aim to set the groundwork for collaboration with developed economies to enable a range of actors to implement the Paris Agreement. Now, the initiative is being supported by the African Union as well as the African Development Bank.
When we're developing those projects, you should keep in mind that you need to distribute electricity. You need many infrastructure for that. So those has to be supported. That's why the African Development Bank has a strong proactive policy today for developing renewables in our continent. It's very important. Second point also, we can think about those projects can be developed when you have the right approach, when you have institutions dedicated, when you have regulation, you can develop those projects in a good way that can have electricity at the end affordable for population.
Maria Galang is part of the team covering COP22 in the Moroccan city. She joins me now live from Marrakech. Maria, good to see you. Walk us through the policies that are being proposed here to boost the uptake of alternative energy sources, especially things like low-cost domestic solar lighting and power solutions. The government willing to zero rate or reduce taxes on these items to encourage their uptake?
Well, Rama, it's all about policy here. There is a very important need for the right proactive policies at the highest level of state, and that's currently lacking in the majority of African countries. There's also need for institutions, for regulations, and also for dedicated fiscality. Tax exemption is one thing, but having the right governance to launch projects like, small solar energy projects is equally as important. There's also a need for capacity building, for cost estimates, and for tools to help people acquire loans to buy things like solar panels, to buy things like electric cars. So, energy is costly. Renewable energy specifically is very costly, and we can afford this if there's the right governance to be able to push renewable energy projects in the future. And it's apparent here from the high level of participation of African countries at this year's COP that governments here on the continent are ready to change their policies, so we'll be seeing a lot of that in the coming days, Rama.
Indeed. Let's talk about one particular project, though. Ethiopia. It's been pumping billions of dollars into fairly extensive dam construction projects on the Nile, and that's meant to meet not just domestic but also regional demand for clean, green power. But those projects, of course, have angered Egypt in the process. So how can countries share increasingly scarce water resources, but at the same time meet that goal of expanding how much renewable power they're putting into their grids?
Well, Rama, when we talk about hydropower, hydro has a specificity to link countries. So when we talk about hydropower, we generally talk about regional projects, and one in the case such as Inga in Ethiopia, we're talking about a lot of power. We're talking about power that can contribute to an entire region, like the Nile region. I posed this question to COP22's head of private and public partnerships, Saad Moulin. Here is what he had to say on the issue.
Right, we'll have to leave it there for the time being. Thank you for that. That's Maria Galang, of course, live in Marrakech.